Record. And intro.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your meds, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Boom! Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Bear, and I am with...
Yeah, give me that beat, Sam. George, the dreamer, Medina.
Awesome sauce. All right, so Joe Holley's in the waiting room. He's going to have to wait a little bit because he doesn't come on till 7:30. We have a special guest on the show today. Who is that, George?
That is the man you just mentioned. His name is Joe Holley, my man. Joey Crack. Yeah, he's a comic book artist and creator. I've been rolling with Joe for a few years now. Very, very nice guy. Really talented artist. And he's got a book called Pretty.
I'm
and
so
he's got
pretty.
a book called Timberwolves. Yeah. We'll let him tell you about Pretty. Very, very good book. And he's got a book called Timberwolves, which is also a very good book. So yeah, he's already on. That's nice. See, he's ready. I like that.
It's too bad because we got lots to talk about. So you're going to have to wait a little bit. It's 7:30 a las 7:30. ¿Qué pasó?
That's all right.
All right. So George, what's on the topic of the day? What's going on?
All right. So I don't know how you're going to roll with this, but Get Your Meds is next.
Get Your Meds is next. And...
It's time for your medicine.
And what's the topic of the day? Georgie Porgy Puddin' Pie?
A farewell to cons.
A farewell to cons.
As we knew them, I guess, in a sense. So we want to delve into this whole virtual cons and virtual conventions, and we're not able to go and stand online for hot dogs and food and pay astronomical amounts of money.
Mucho
to get
dinero.
this food. You know, we don't stand in lines for panels anymore with crowded rooms of people on top of each other listening to the creators of the new comic book movie that's coming out. We don't get to do that anymore.
Yes.
In this
walking at the
world.
cosplayers, the
cosplayers walking through the door in these elaborate, just costumes and
those
and
impromptu celebrities that would just pop up out of nowhere at your table.
Out of nowhere, everything. Yeah, exactly. Walking around the convention and stuff like that. So we don't get to do any of that stuff, paying for a table at a show as an independent publisher, small press, paying to sit there and attract people to come to your table and convince them that your book or your story or your project is the next big thing, like none of that. There'll be none of that for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And
it's sad.
the last one to bite the dust was New York Comic Con, which today's October 23rd for those watching. But when we recorded this show back in
back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and
August,
wish I was a kid again.
We had just gotten the news that it was canceled on that day.
Yes.
So where do we go from here, right, Sam? That's the topic of the day in a sense. A farewell to cons as we knew them. Where do we go from here? What happens next?
Where do we go?
So what does happen?
It is kind of in the beginning, I think everybody in the beginning there was crazy. So in the beginning, I felt like this too shall pass. Right? And that seemed to be the slogan the first 30 days of this pandemic. But it's become the hard reality and the scary norm, right? And you live now behind a screen.
Yeah.
Social distancing is no joke. It's not, it's almost as if it's a prelude to automation. Right? It's almost as if we're being confined indoors because as a testing phase to automation where we're replaced by machinery and robots and all that stuff, right? And Joe's like, oh, damn, he's going there. Joe's like...
I love conspiracies. My Russ 5377, my graphic novel, it's a big conspiracy. I love
conspiracy.
I love it. It's funny you say automation, and this is a little bit off topic, but we're going to get back to it. But I was reading, I forget where it was, but I was reading this article about the movie Cars, how Cars was basically how a look into the world once cars got rid of their own drivers and became automated, right? So Cars is almost like this thing where it's like, we don't need the drivers. It's just us. And that was the evolution of vehicles in a cartoon way, which is interesting that you use the word automation.
I mean, just think about how subtle it's been. Amazon Marketplace. You go to the stores now, there's nobody there. You go in with your Prime card, you make your own coffee, you get your sandwich, you go, and you don't even have to do anything. Because as soon as you're walking out, it knows, because when you go in, you scan your Prime card, so it knows it's you and your account number. So it's already charging you everything you pick up. So when you walk out, boom, it's done. So we are, I think, our blind ignorance to the fact that we're so excited about technology, we're not realizing that we're being replaced by technology. And so it's almost as if this is almost, nothing happens by chance.
Yeah. I mean, talk to the toll booth guy. Remember the toll booth guy? What happened to the toll booth guy?
My sister was a toll booth guy.
Right?
Yeah, she was replaced.
Or gal. She used to sit there, take your money, give you your change, have a nice day, goodbye. Then Easy Pass came out. Easy Pass, I don't have to wait online. And then they made it so that there were only 2 lines for you to go through, and there were like 4 Easy Pass lanes. So what are you going to do?
Remember back in the days?
Easy Pass.
Remember back in the days, the trains used to have multiple personnel on the trains. Now it's just one guy. Yeah. Soon that'll be replaced by nobody.
Yeah, it's Terminator 2, bro.
It is. I mean, you think about all the robotics that are in the distribution centers at the Amazon facilities, right? Enough.
Well, so let's let's gear it back to what we're talking about. So are we saying that conventions will eventually just be me and you behind the screen talking to each other? Yo, did you see that at the panel? But not really in the same room.
No.
Is that you? Do you think where we're gonna go?
Yes. So again, it's been, I think that the invention of the iPhone started the movement to isolation and social distancing, because the generation that grew up with the phones have a problem with interaction. Hence, and I'm going to get a lot of slack for this, but hence is why there's so much violence, because we don't know how to compromise. We don't know how to rationalize.
We don't have social skills.
The social skills are missing. We're lacking that, right? So everything is, we will blow you up on a phone. And then what happens when you're face to face? Anger. And you see what's happening in the news. That's all you see is people lashing out with violence as a solution to solve a problem. And, when I grew up, it was about talking about your feelings. So think about the number of suicides among teens and depression, how it's on the rise among teens, because they don't know how to handle being different. They look at being different as being an outcast rather than being special. And, bullying has grown. So all these things, when I think about where we're going, it's been there. The crumbs have been there the whole time.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I mean, because back in the days we fought, like there wasn't like there was no violence. Like we would fight. We may not kill each other. I mean, I have a gun on me when we went to fight. We're gonna fight. We're gonna use our fist. That level of violence has obviously evolved to like, all right, we don't agree now. I'm just gonna pull out a gun.
I'll give you a perfect example.
So I get that.
All right. So I grew up in a neighborhood where fighting was the norm, right? You're guaranteed to get into some sort of fight within 30 days, right? So I remember a friend of mine was getting picked on by another dude, and he was a big dude, and he was known to be very violent. And
Debo, he was a Debo of the
So I sent the message and say, look, my friend was afraid of him, and I said, I'll square off with you so you can leave him alone. Sent the message out there, blah blah blah. We're supposed to meet at night in the high school track and field. Bring a couple of guys, bring a couple of guys, and be a fair one. Never happened. So, start of high school, new semester. I'm in art class. It's the first day. It's doing roll call. I never seen the guy, so I don't know what he looks like. So it's roll call, and the teacher goes around and then gets to me. I say my name, and the guy sitting next to me says his name, and immediately this is exactly what happened. I kid you not. We both grabbed a pair of scissors and face squared off. We realized who we were, and then we started laughing, and we started talking. He goes, "You're the guy." I said, "Yeah." I said, "You're the guy." I said, "You gotta stop picking on him." And we talked, and then we became really good friends. Mm-hmm. And then he became part of the clique, and he never picked up on it again, and they were friends again. So it was. Had we just assaulted each other, we would have never been friends. But we looked at each other in the eye. We realized, today it's just straight violence. There's not even that moment to talk. So I think that's the scary part. I've been very lucky and fortunate enough that I was able to negotiate. I was a mediator.
All right, but let me ask you a question, okay? Uh-huh. You're what, 6'3"?
Yes. Have
you always been a bigger kid?
Yes.
All right. So it's kind of hard for a bully to come at you and be like, "Yo, man, but you're the guy? You
See, I don't look at it that way. I never looked at it that way.
That's what it is. Yes. Because perception is reality.
No.
So that bully isn't gonna bully you. You know what I mean? You're too big.
No, there've been some bullies.
I might get hurt.
There've been some bullies.
I'm sure somebody. I mean, because somebody's gonna test.
That's been some hardcore little guys that are just killers. They were just killers.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, the Napoleon complex.
Yes.
But I guess what I guess, and like I said, I don't disagree. I think that we have moved into society where like words are said through just a text. You know what I mean? And those words are used for bullying.
Yes.
Photos are being sent of, say, a girl or a boy in a situation where they're embarrassed, and then everybody makes fun of it. There's a different kind of bullying that we didn't grow up around. That, like, bullying for us was they pick on you, they call you a name in your face, made fun of you all day in your face, and you had to somehow either
eat it,
get over it,
or do something about it.
Or do something about it. Whereas kids now behind the screen, there's no release. There isn't. Standing up to the bully. Because how do you stand up to a screen? You can't. It's and I think we've gone way off topic. It's a very interesting topic.
It's a very interesting topic.
Off topic. But I think that I think that when it comes to the conventions, right? And there are a lot of things I miss about it, dude. Like, and one of the things that I think that as a small press or as an independent publisher, where I think we're going to get hurt is in the inability to interact with people.
Yes.
Because that's our secret, right?
Yes.
You've never seen me before. You don't know what I draw. You don't know what I do. But if I say, "Hey, how you doing? Come here. Let me show you something." People are going to come and take a look at your stuff. Behind the screen, if there's no name attached to that thing, I'm just going to go on to the next one, swipe, or however it is that they're doing it online.
Yeah.
So how do we combat that? How do we battle that?
And I think when you don't have these venues to let out your frustration, when you don't have the games to go to cheer for, you don't have the bars to hang out with your friends and just unwind.
Yeah, that's true too, bro.
Then what happens is the anxiety builds at home. And then you take it on your loved ones, the ones that care for you the most, the ones that are going to be there for you, the ride or die people, or the ones who are going to get punished for it because the isolation drives you nuts.
Right.
And I think now when you think about, if you're a comic book fan and you have no events to go to, and you're a diehard fan, I mean, think about it. I mean, the guys that and the girls that spend their money and they look forward to, and it's like the talk of it's like the big game. It's like prom, when you go to these events and it's not there. So how do you handle that? I'm very frustrated because you and I talked last year. This was the breakout year, but at the same time, we capitalized on the time rather than being frustrated and just saying, what I give. We capitalized on this moment to say, all right, let's build. Let's build for next year.
Well,
but what if next year is a repeat of this year?
Well, I know. Well, and I was going to say, with the way that kids are today, right? They're used to the technology. They're used to it. So what happens is maybe they don't even realize how tough this is. Like for old timers like you and me who are so used to going to these conventions, and so that affects us, I think, even more so than a young kid who maybe this is second or third, and now he's realizing, oh shoot, I don't have to go there, because a lot of these kids it doesn't bother them.
No.
My little nephews, right? I call them little, but they're like, one is almost 18, but they grew up in an era where there was a lot of this, gaming with headphones on, and you're in your house, I'm in my house, but we're playing the same game.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to be in the same room. Like you and I used to, when Nintendo came out, we were in the same room playing, Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt with the gun. We were in the same room interacting with each other. Mom was making snacks. There were snacks on the table. It was a different experience.
Oh, I miss my snacks.
My nephews moved to California 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago now. And, when you move out of your neighborhood, when you were a little kid, back in the day, for us, it was like, damn, I'm never going to see my friends again. Nope. They still have the same friends from New York. They talk to them every day. It's like they never left.
Right.
You know what I mean? So maybe that's why some of these conventions virtually may find a place. And the scary part is that if they do, and they realize that they no longer have to pay for a venue, the amount of money they have to pay for a venue, they may just say, yeah, let's not do this anymore. Why are we paying the Javits Center all this money?
That's the problem. And you've seen it in the retail sector, right? So what's happening?
Right.
Look at all these retailers that are filing bankruptcy and they're going straight to e-com, right? So because they're like, oh, you know what? Let's get rid of the overhead. Let's just focus on e-com. It goes from distribution center straight to e-commerce. We need a small team for that. Boom. Keep it moving. So all the jobs that are, like all the people that are losing jobs. It's a scary scenario to think where we're going. I know that I was writing on doing the New York Comic Con as the last hope for the year, and they finally said, you know what, we can't do it. There's no way we can do it. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we just opened schools and one kid got 25 teachers. How's that happen? Because I can tell you right now, isn't there like a requirement that you have to be tested and wait the 14 days before you went back and to verify that you didn't have it, and then you get your temperature checked every day and all that stuff? Because that's what happens in retail, and so it's, and if you go out of state, you can't go back to work for 14 days. You have to be quarantined, and you have to get tested again to ensure that you're good enough to go back to work. So I don't understand how a child can infect that many people. I mean, did every single one of them come in contact, or was it because the child sneezed and it went into the ventilation system and it spread?
Well, and that's the
you don't know.
Thing. Like
you don't know.
Little kids, they're like little viruses walking around, even before the pandemic.
Like gremlins.
Like how many times? Like I have plenty of friends who have kids, and they're like, "Oh, you're sick? Yeah, my kid is sick." And they gave it to me. Like,
yes.
Once a kid is sick in a house,
parents are the most vulnerable.
They were vulnerable and they just got sick.
Yeah.
And they just got sick. So now you're talking about something that's far more powerful than just a common cold.
Well, like that high school, the young lady, the teenager that took a picture of the school hall that was crowded, and nobody wearing masks, and 9 people got infected, and so it's I think what happens is you have two sides of the spectrum. You have there's a lack of consistency and unity around one message, So because of distorted messaging that's going on based on who the
beginning.
politician is,
from the
no one
jump,
knows
it
whether
happened
to move left or right.
Yeah.
So you have people saying no, it's not a real thing until they're affected. Yeah. Until it affects you.
Yeah. Because you have a choice as to who to listen to. I'm not gonna listen to him. I'm just gonna listen to this guy.
Yeah.
You have a choice. Once you have a choice, then you know what I mean. Like not everybody's on the same page. Then there's this little chaos. And what happens is think about a convention, right? And I always heard about this. Like people always got sick after a convention, and it's because. And I'm talking about like common colds. You know what I mean? Like obviously, there's so many germs flying around at a con. And in this climate, you can't. That's why New York Comic Con finally decided, okay, we're not doing it. Yeah, there's no way to do that safely. There's no way to have 130,000 people in one place and do it safely. You just can't. No. You can't. So I'm curious to see what happens next year, and hopefully, like you said, with the second wave, hopefully by then we figured out, or we've gotten like that herd immunity where like. If enough people get exposed to it, we start, just our bodies will normally just find a way to, just not get sick. So hopefully that'll happen, and we'll see. We'll see. It'll be. This
has been a very intense, very diverse conversation that started off a farewell to Comic-Con to conspiracies and generational gaps and politics, and it's wow. If you have an opinion, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, chime in, man. Let us know what you think. If what we're talking it interests you, and even if it doesn't, tell us it doesn't interest. Whatever, just leave a comment. Let us know. But yeah, no, interesting stuff, dude. I mean, I think we had like 5 topics in one right there.
Yeah, I know. So we're going to go to commercial, and when we come back, we're going to have our guest on the show, and that is Joe Holley. And let me get rid of this, and let's see. I don't know which one I'm going to do. We'll do 10 or less. All right, welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. Welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. Welcome to the Craze in 10 or less. That's 10 minutes or under. This is not going according to plan. What the heck is going on? Oh, hell no. Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. Hello, we just lost him.
Did we?
Yeah, he was just on. So
the commercial's over?
The commercial's over. Yes.
Oh, that was quick.
Yes, it was really quick.
We lost Joey.
He came on, he said hello, and he said goodbye.
I said hello.
He said, hola, ¿cómo estás? Let me meet him again.
All right. By the way, guys, while Sam does that, don't forget that we have our Kickstarter going on right now. We're a few days away, so if you haven't yet, just check out what you like, pick a reward, support the Kickstarter.
Yes.
And hopefully we get this thing rolling.
Yes, get the crack-a-lackling. And our guest is on. Welcome, vertical or horizontal. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Joey, what up, man?
I was like getting all ready. I'm like, all right, everything's all prepped, everything's all good, and then all of a sudden, like something happened. I'm like, oh shit.
It's all good, my brother. It's all good. Yeah. Joe, this is Joe Holley, everybody. And Joe, let me introduce you to my good friend Sam Vera, host of Catch the Craze.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Feeling good.
I like that little backdrop right there. It's almost like you're at a convention right now.
I know, right? I like the little background. Mine's homemade, and you got like special effects. So I'm practical, and you're CG.
Yeah, you're Star Wars 1977. I'm the Avengers.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Exactly. I'm authentic.
Yeah, you're authentic. Yeah, you're
others would say retro, vintage.
Vintage Joe.
There you go.
So what's going on, Joe? Talk to us a little bit. Let me just give the people that are listening to this show a little bit about you. Joe Holley. Joe Holley is an artist. He's a creator. He has his own studio. Okay. And he's got 2 books out right now. One is Pretty and one is Timberwolves. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. But before we go there, Joe, tell us a little bit about where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your background.
I was born and raised in Broome County, Binghamton, New York, small town called Endicott. Well, I moved around a couple small towns, but right now I reside in Endicott, New York. Yeah, been here ever since. It's a small town.
When did you get into like drawing and comic? Like when did you realize, yo, man, I can draw, I can do this?
When I was at the mall when I was a kid, and then they had you know how they used to have like small bookstores like Walden Books and and like Reader's Island or a bunch of stuff like that. Well, we used to go to. One day I went to like Walden Books and I saw, I mean, I read comics since I was a kid, but the one or two of them that stood out the most was an issue of Wolverine that Mark Silvestri drew. And it was an issue where his doppelganger was choking the real Wolverine, and that cover just caught my eye. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, this is what I want to do, So that was the issue that turned me on. And then another issue on the same rack was an issue of Amazing Spider-Man where it had Venom. And you can see Spider-Man in the reflection of his eyes. I'm like, that's dope too. I want to do this,
Nice.
So I was hooked immediately ever since. So I just got into I would look at illustrations and try to draw the exact same one through memory and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I just kept doing that and hanging them up in my high school locker. And people would walk by like, whoa, did you draw that? I'm like, yeah, but it's just someone else's drawing. I just kind of drew it from memory, whatever. Like, wow, that's so cool. So I was hooked since then, man. So.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. It's always cool to find out how different creators got into the arts,
Yeah,
and
right.
For you, it looked like it was like Mark Silvestri and like I think what was Todd McFarlane drawing Amazing Spider-Man at the time?
Yeah, he was
around the same time.
And then he did the solo one. He did the one Spider-Man. Yeah, I was hooked on his artwork too. Like the big guys that were at Image that started Image. Those are the guys I followed. So I didn't care about the story as long as the art was there and they were drawing it. I followed like a groupie.
That's funny, dude. So you got into drawing these characters and mimicking in a sense what they were drawing. When did you? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's almost like, all right, this is how they would draw the face, this is how they would draw the body. This is how they would draw the panels and the pages. So I kind of figured it out. Just like, all right, this is how comic pages are drawn and stuff. And on top of that, I would just get books on how to draw comics. I mean, I think every artist had that one book, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. I had that. Mm-hmm, so, it's almost like the comic artist Bible right there. So, I just got like a bunch of art books and took art classes in high school. And I just kind of like went from there and everything. I'm mostly like self-taught, but, I took art classes on top of it too, just to kind of, learn something new.
Yeah. When the art bug bit you, Joe, did you ever want to work for the big two at the time, Marvel or DC? Oh, yeah. Did you ever have dreams of doing that? Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and just like I want to draw for Marvel, I want to draw for DC. I think more so Marvel because I wasn't really familiar with DC a lot at the time, but Marvel mostly.
What characters? What was the character that really got you? Was it Wolverine?
No, it was actually Ghost Rider. It was when they relaunched Ghost Rider with Danny Ketch. I didn't know he was an older character that came out in the 70s. So I was hooked on the whole when Mark Texeira was drawing Ghost Rider.
I remember that. With the glow in the dark cover, like that.
I have that. Yeah, I still have that. I had that T-shirt too. I used to rock that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone was wearing like Marvel shirts in high school at the time. I think I was the only one.
What a dork, huh?
I don't think I ever wore a Marvel shirt when I was in high school.
No?
Never. No,
me neither. I think I did either, dude. I
wore a Ninja Turtle shirt too. I had one of those.
Nice.
The Turtles, man. I love the whole story of the Turtles, like how they came about and like how they did their comics in black and white and went to a comic book and sold 500 copies and that was it. Like they just blew up.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the story right there, bro.
Yeah, I love that kind of story. Like, wow, they just kind of found them and they just kind of exploded, and then they've been here ever since, man. So I love those kind of stories. I hope that like I get there someday. That'd be sick.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
The as far as your evolution as an artist, right, Joe? Mm-hmm. So you started reading these comic books. You wanted to work for those for the two companies. Did you ever send out any any samples to these comic book
Funny that you were to mention that.
giants?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I just realized I found this letter that I wrote back in 1992. Right here.
We did not plan this. We did not plan
No,
this.
I did not plan this either. It just happened. I want ever since like when Stanley got sick, I was like, I gotta find that letter so I can frame it, and then like whatever. I haven't got a chance to frame it, but when you just mentioned that, I'm like, whoa, I have that letter right here. I'll read it out to you. It just says,
It's awesome.
June 10th, 1992. Dear Joseph. I just said Joseph because I figured when you took like English class, like this is how you write a proper letter to a business. Dear Joseph, thanks for writing. Stan enjoyed reading your letter and asked me to tell you that since Tom DeFalco's office oversees all comic book production, that you should therefore address your questions to, the address I was supposed to send it to. Thanks for reading. Regards, Mallory Lyles. Now I know for a fact Stan didn't read my letter I wrote because he's that big of a name. But the simple fact that I sent samples into Marvel and they wrote me back, sending my samples back, that was that was big for me, And I'm in like 6th or 7th, 8th grade getting a letter from Marvel. Like, holy crap, they wrote me back. It's so awesome,
But they wrote you back to send it to Tom instead, and they couldn't just walk down the hall. Really?
Just getting some some packet of art from some 7th graders. Like, man, look at this atrocious shit.
Yeah, I know.
Why don't we send this to him so we don't hurt his feelings?
Exactly.
Imagine you're in the lunchroom and Tom is getting coffee and Stan's getting coffee. Hey, I got a submission. I'm sending it back and I'm gonna have him do it the right way. He's like, it's right there. It's crazy.
They're gonna make you spend another 25 cents at the time to send this thing back out.
That's crazy.
I never sent anything back after that. I think the letter was good enough for me. It's like, all right, I guess I got a chance.
Nice.
That is some funny stuff, Joe.
Yeah, I know, right?
So wait, so you didn't send anything back, but you kept drawing.
I kept drawing. Yeah, I
kept drawing.
Kept doing it.
When did you start creating your own characters?
I started creating it in 6th grade. It was I remember I have a stack of comics that I drew when I was in 6th grade. I would draw 22 pages of them. I would staple them together and I would just keep it off to the side. And I would draw, I actually had this shit planned out. I actually planned out how many comics I was going to draw within a school year. And at the end of the school year, I would draw a graphic novel over the summer. And I have a checklist of all like the stuff I drew when I was when I was drawing throughout the whole time. So I kept doing it. I was drawing I was drawing my own characters, whatever stories that popped in my head. I would draw them out, I staple them up, and I just put it off the side. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the next one, whatever. So I actually had a routine in all throughout high school, just drawing my own characters and stories. So I kept at it. So, and it was the kind where I would write and draw at the same time. I wouldn't write anything out first. I would write it and draw at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I mean, I should since I'm reading how to draw comics to Marvel, maybe I should write the story out first and then draw it. And I was like, all right, this is a lot easier.
I think everybody had that book.
Yeah.
I think everybody had that book. I still have it.
Yeah. I think you can mine away to a friend of mine, but you can still find it at Barnes and Noble.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was your first attempt at creating your own book? And what was the influence behind that?
My first attempt, it was about 3 guys. They were dressed up as ninjas, and the name of it was called Wild Pack. And then I found out there was a comic called Wild Pack, so I changed it to Renegades. And then after a while, I drew a bunch of stories about those guys, and then I just kind of put it away for a while, and then that's where I got the idea to develop Timberwolves, which is what I'm drawing now. It's still the same concept of 3 guys. They live in a small town. They're all related to each other. There's 2 brothers and 1 cousin, and the one I started out first, they were ninjas. One could throw arrows. One was a samurai. One was a Gulf War veteran at the time, and he had shotguns and guns and stuff like that. And the first story I drew of them was they had to fight off these werewolves that were dealing drugs that was turning other people into werewolves. It was a really weird story at the time. So I was in 6th grade when I wrote this, so it's like I'm reading through.
6th grade, you're pretty advanced. Like, talking about drug dealing werewolves.
Exactly.
Like, that's amazing.
And it was back then when cocaine was a big thing at the time. So if they snorted coke, they would turn into werewolves. So that was the whole thing back then. So when I decided to, like, you know, go through my archives, I'm like, oh wow, I remember I wrote and drew about these guys. Maybe I should, you know, polish it off and give them a whole new concept. So I decided to rewrite and redo everything about, you know, about them. So instead of just cocaine that the werewolves were dealing, it was meth, because meth's a big thing now. So they smoked meth, they turned into like these mutant werewolves and stuff. So I went with it. So I was like, all right, I think there's something here still. So, you know, it's still the same concept. It's just different times now. They kind of evolved. So,
yeah.
So your was the ninja concept influenced by American Ninja?
Yeah. American Ninja. Because I watched ninja movies growing up in the 80s too, you know, like Shokazuki and all those guys. Yeah, they were cool back then. Yep. So, but they didn't have powers. They had to rely on, there was this regular guys. So they had a goal I thought was kind of cool. It's like, hey man, these regular dudes have to kill these werewolves. You know, why not? You know, I like to see, like, you know, a brutal showdown between like a regular bunch of dudes taking out these, you know, these inhuman looking beings. You know, so I figure it's kind of more realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam. You got a question?
No, it was like I was thinking when you were saying that, I thought of two movies. I thought of American Ninja and I thought of American Werewolf from London. Those are the two things I was thinking about in my head.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good pitch, right?
Yes.
Like a good
pitch. Like a Japanese werewolf in London or
something. American werewolf in London.
Or a Hispanic werewolf in London.
Yeah, I know, right? the Vato werewolf in London.
Yeah. So Joe, so I've known you for a little while, so I know, and this is going to be a question that, because I know what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So for a while, when I met you, you had like, it was almost like a diary where you would discipline yourself. And this question reminds me, because you were talking about how when you were a younger kid, you used to just draw and put it away, draw and put it away. You put together like diaries where you said to yourself, every day I'm going to draw something. I'm going to put it in a book. And now you have like 3 or 4 books where like it's 365 pages of a book and you have a drawing in it. So tell us a little bit about that disciplined, I guess, exercise that you did.
It's a sketch daily. It's like 300. There's a sketchbook that has 365 days, and they're all spaced out. And you draw a sketch every day up until like the end of the year. So I would start on January 1st, and I would finish at the last day of December.
Wow!
So I've been doing that for like the past like 3 or 4 years. It'll be 4 years now at the end of this year. So I have 4 sketchbooks, just drawing every single day. It's like one of those things where like I have to do it, otherwise it's gonna drive me insane. Yeah. So it's like going. I mean, like I'll have days where like this drawing sucks, but at least I got a drawing done today on the next one. You know? So I try to like kind of keep at least drawing something every day, so that I don't like plateau.
Right.
Yeah. And what do you draw?
Making it a discipline. What's that?
And what do you draw? Like, what's in there? Like just doodles,
whatever.
like
just
anything.
Doodles, stuff like that. Just random stuff that was coming ahead. Just enough to to get the pencils flowing and stuff. Sometimes I'll do it before I'll tackle a page or something. Yeah. So. Dude,
one day those sketchbooks are gonna be worth a lot of money, bro.
You think so?
Oh hell yeah, dude! What? That's a great idea, dude. That's a great idea.
I mean, like I've seen guys do it before, like on Facebook. I'll see them posting like they'll do it like sketch daily, and they'll do it up until the end of the year. I'm like, hey, if they can do it, so can I. So,
hey, I have one of George's sketchbooks, and I'm waiting till he blows up. I'm gonna auction that on eBay.
He stole one of my sketchbooks.
You got a sketchbook. I know you drew, but I've never seen any of your drawings, George.
See, George is his biggest critic. Let me tell you something.
I didn't even know I had a sketchbook, bro. I didn't even know I had a sketchbook. I didn't even know. I didn't even know I had one.
Dude. You have a sketchbook?
Holy God. That is amazing. Wow. We're going to have to talk about this.
Yeah.
Finders keepers.
First thing I'm going to say, He's like, hey, what's up, Joe? I'm like, George, where's your sketchbook? I want to see this.
Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna wait till Georgie blows up, and then I'm going on eBay.
Wow, damn. Wait, so Joe, you said 4 years ago. So when did we meet? About 4? Wasn't it like 4 years ago when I actually
No,
we met?
Longer than that. It was longer than that. I believe it was. I want to say it was maybe 2012 or 2014 is when we kind of met. We met on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the story I like to tell because
the elusive George. Okay,
yeah,
tell him.
He's a mystery man. You know, it's funny. Like the first time I met George and the guys was at a convention because John was posting up like his table during New York Comic Con. I'm like, all right, because I follow every artist that was at New York Comic Con. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check out this guy's table and and just say hi, whatever. So I went down, made introduced myself and everything and stuff, and then I think it was the last day of that con. I was like, hey man, what it was is I offered you guys to make you guys t-shirts.
Yes.
And yes, it was that. And I was like, all right, let's talk to our friend George first and see what he thinks. I'm like, all right. So they gave me your number, and I remember calling you. And then so he talks like, hey, this is George. Hey, this is Joe. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I got some t-shirts. Want me to make some for you? Yeah, sure. All right. Just give me the artwork. I'll print it to you, and I'll send it to you in the mail and stuff. So it was like on and off. I talked to George on the phone, but I never saw him in person or seen his face or anything. So I think it was at maybe it was at a con that I missed you at. Like every time I went to show up at your table, yeah, George ain't here yet. Oh, he's not gonna show up today.
Wandering
Where's
around.
this guy? Am I ever gonna meet this dude? So finally we met. It was at the New York Comic Con special edition. That's when I finally met you. Like, this is the George.
The elusive. You didn't even think I existed. I was just a voice.
I thought you were an urban myth at first.
He was like, what was it Charlie? From Charlie's Angels.
I was Charlie. That's freaking funny. Well,
yeah.
so then I think it was the year after that we did an anthology, and it was called I think it was called Cryptic. Yeah, it was called Cryptic. And so the whole thing was it was a themed anthology. So Anibal had this idea, let's get a couple of guys together, let's get some artists together and have them draw stories about scary stuff. Yeah. And so we each had a story in the book, and you did a story, and this is where I'll let you talk about Pretty. So tell us about Pretty. You did that story for that anthology.
Yeah, so Pretty was just a one shot. It wasn't anything I was taking seriously. It was just like, all right, I'm gonna come up with some random monster that lives in the dark and just kind of has a scary mask and it just kind of kidnaps people. It's like one of those indie shorts. And then when it was all done in illustrated and stuff, it didn't have any words because I didn't have I didn't have a real story for it. I just kind of had one of those it was one of those stories that had no words to it. The pictures told the story itself.
Yeah.
So once it was all finished, we were getting ready to present it at Comic-Con. I was like, well, I want to make some prints for this. So I didn't have time to get prints made. So I asked a buddy of mine who was a photographer, and I was like, listen, I was wondering if you could have one of your friends, because I followed his work and he had a bunch of models that he was using to take pictures and stuff. And I was like, listen, can you have one of your friends, cosplay as one of my characters for this story presenting at New York Comic Con? So I presented him the story, and he was looking at it. It's like, dude, I want to make a movie of this. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. Well, he was doing indie films, small shorts that he had on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
He's want to make an indie film of this. I'm like, all right, talk to your buddy and see what he thinks. And then he was talking to him, and all of a sudden, his friend got a hold of me. His name's Spartacus Johnson, and he was just in love with the character. He loved it. He was my official cosplayer for it for the whole time. So when they said they wanted to make a movie, I was just like, all right, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write an origin story, see where he came from. And from then on, it just kind of the whole character started to snowball on top of it. I was coming up with all these ideas, and they were pitching ideas to me about it and stuff. And it just got to the point, all right, I'm just going to make a series about this guy. So the first issue was an origin issue, but it also included stories from Cryptic. So it was my way of saying, my homage to hey man, if it wasn't for you guys, this character wouldn't exist. So that was
awesome, dude.
Yeah, that was issue 1 for that. So I thought it was kind of cool.
And you're working on the second issue now, right?
Second issue is finished, so I'm just getting ready for it to go to print and stuff. So and I'm working on issue 3 now. So, and then I got 2 more after that. And after the first 5 issues of Pretty is done, there's going to be a crossover between Timberwolves and Pretty. So it's going to be like a graphic novel.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. I'm really excited for that. I have the whole idea pitched in my head. It's only a matter of time where I can just write it out and draw it and stuff. So it's going to be like my big book. It's not going to be like a single series of one shots. It's going to be my first like graphic novel ready to go. So yeah, so it's kind of like an MCU I got planned out.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't know, I always say this, like, and Sam, I don't know if you've ever seen his artwork, but you have like that Joe Mad kind of style, like where the hands are big and it's like
he was a big influence after a while because like I didn't know who Joe Mad was, and then when Battle Chasers came out, I was like, wow,
Battle Chasers,
Battle Chasers, and Humberto Ramos, he was a big influence in artwork too. Yeah. I grab anything that guy puts out. I'm like, if there's like a one shot, I'll grab it. If there's a series coming out, I'll grab it. I just like, I'll look at his artwork all day, and I'll just like, ingrain my mind into it. Yeah.
Well, what attracted me to the work that Joe did, just so everybody knows, is you were talking about Pretty and like the initial issue, like the 8-pager that you did for that cryptic story. Yeah. It was like a silent film. You know what I mean? It was drawn that way. It was literally a silent comic. Like there were no words, and the artwork really told the story. And you did such a good job telling that story. They were like, "Yo, dude, you know." And I'm glad that your friend saw that and was like, "Yo, I want to make a movie of this," because it really is. It's almost like a modern day slasher film.
Yes, that's what it's supposed to be, like a modern day slasher.
Yeah, so. It's like an homage to like the Friday the 13th, the Freddy Krueger. You actually did prints of Pretty, that's the character's name. His name is Pretty. Yeah. Of Pretty doing things to those characters, right?
Yeah, it wasn't prints yet, but they were like it was supposed to be for like the Halloween where they'd have like 30 days or it was Inktober, that's what it was. And I was trying to do one where he killed a different slasher each day of the week or each day of the year. So it was pretty cool. I had one where he had Jason's head on a machete, or he chopped like Leatherface in half with a chainsaw, and he killed Pinhead with his box, whatever, and he freaking crushed Chucky's head in his hands. I was actually thinking about writing like a fan fiction of like him encountering every single slasher and just killing them. Like it would be like a 1-page thing.
Right, so, no, it really is cool because it's like you don't see slasher films anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like what was the last one? Scream maybe? Saw maybe was the last one?
Yeah, I guess there's another Scream coming out, but like there's always like reboots or like, redos and stuff like that. And like, no, I mean, I've seen like there's like a few movies that have been coming out, like modern day slashers and stuff, but it'd be cool to see one that's like stands out in this, like, holy shit, there's 5 other sequels of that. So
but what I'm saying is like no iconic like character comes from it. Like Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, like that was the guy, Halloween, Michael Myers, like that was the dude. Like I can't think of Freddy Krueger. I can't think of any like modern day slasher film where you can think of the name of the guy who's doing all the killing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like my goal was like to see Pretty as like a franchise movie. Like
that was my next question.
Yeah. I would like to see like 5 sequels made of this guy where they just like run into shit to the point where it's just like, man, there's so many goddamn sequels of this movie. But that'd be great though, because like you know all these movies because there's so many sequels before after them stuff, So yeah, that'd be like a cool goal too.
So now that you're older and you're no longer in high school, Joe, and you're no longer this little 6-year-old kid, right? But you still read comics. Do you see yourself working for one of the big 2 or even any indie publishers? Like, do you see yourself working for one of those companies? I mean,
I don't actually. No. And I think it's because like I got to the point where I feel like you really got to grind to work for a big company like that. And you got to really have like an in-house style that they'll like. And I don't have that. Style. And I feel like I'd rather just do my own thing because I'm comfortable with that and I'm happier that way. And I don't have anyone over my shoulder telling me how to draw or what to draw. So it's just like I'd rather have the freedom of like being able to do and create my own world and create my own characters and create my stories without having something like you can't write that or you can't draw that. Right. It's the stubbornness in me. So I feel like there's more freedom on that. So
no, I hear you.
I'm comfortable with that. I'm content with that.
So what are you reading now?
What's that?
What comics do you collect now?
I've been collecting, well, since the whole COVID thing. I was reading Strange Academy because Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos have been doing that together. I thought that was pretty good. Middle West is really good. It's mostly like Image comics. It seems like Image is putting out a lot of good stories that I like, you know?
Yeah.
So that, I've been reading the new DC Death Metal, the new Batman one by Snyder and Capullo.
Yeah.
Just because I love Capullo, you know?
Oh, he's the man.
Yeah.
Capullo's incredible.
That's I picked up his cover of Spawn 300 because it was by him.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Which one is that one? What's on that cover? The one that he did. Is that the one with the?
It's right here.
Is it like at a church?
Kind of. He's like, he
like
looks
the
like
stained
he's
glass
got,
window.
sort of. There's one. No, that's the McFarlane one. The other
Capullo is this one.
Is red. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That's
Okay.
the one.
Okay. Wow, dude, that's
dope.
sick.
I got 4
That
covers.
is dope.
I got the I got the Jerome cover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got that one, and I got the
Yep,
Todd
the
black and
cover.
white.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got the sketch cover, the blank cover.
Oh, no shit.
Hoping to
Nice.
run day one into any one of them and get them to,
Well,
do a piece.
Yeah, we go back to conventions. Dude.
Yeah,
like,
say
that's
no.
what
Yeah,
we were
right.
talking about, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I miss it. We were supposed to be at the East Coast Comic Con this
Yes.
year
That's when
in
I'm
May.
gonna have a Pretty issue 2 ready, and I was gonna have that ready for East Coast.
Yeah,
But the thing is, I wouldn't have finished it on time to present it, and
yeah.
even though with like the whole pandemic thing, I got it finished. Like we still couldn't do the con. So
I
I
know.
still wanted to win.
Yeah. No, I know.
Mhm.
But Joe, so how can people buy your books and contact you?
Through Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the two so far now.
What's your Instagram handle?
I think it's find it.
Yeah,
What's that?
we didn't get that part.
You went out.
No.
Yeah, audio went out. Yeah.
Yeah, your audio went. You can find
okay.
me at that.
Yeah, it's over here.
No.
That was that.
Unless that's part of the gimmick, you have to like crack the code.
Right?
Yeah.
So like those scan codes.
So what is it?
I think it's Joe Holley 1977 on Instagram, and you can find it on Facebook. It's I have a Facebook for all my art I post. It's Joe Holley's sketchbook at facebook.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
So
Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome, brother. Well, listen, it's been a blast talking to you. I know we don't get to chat so much, but
I know, right? Exactly.
I did get a sneak preview of Pretty 2, which I will be sending the PDFs to you. So it's a great book. You guys should pick it up. Pretty 2 is going to be out soon. Pretty 1 is out now, right? And you have Timberwolves. How many? 1 and 2?
I have 1, 2, and 3 of Timberwolves.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So and
you're a busy man.
Trying to stay busy, man. There's no time, no such thing as a break.
Yes, you are a grinder. You say the grinding. You are a grinder, and I'm glad you're doing it, brother.
Yeah. I try to grind. There's no stopping.
There you go. All right. Well, Joe, thank you for being with us, everybody. That was Joe Holley. Check him out on Instagram. Check him out on Facebook. Joe, thank you so much for being with us, man.
Anytime, man. I hope to see you soon in person.
You got it,
buddy. You will, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You take care of yourself.
You too, brother. I'll talk to you later.
All right, that was Joe Holley. That was a good interview.
Yeah, Joe's cool, man.
Yeah.
Joe's a cool dude, man. He's funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I love this story. Similar. I guess we both appreciate the same artists. Every artist he's named. I have an art book. I have their comics. Interesting.
I forgot about Humberto Ramos, and I forgot how much his style is also kind of looks.
He
like
was
this,
was he Battle Chasers?
No, that was
Joe Mad. That was Joe Mad. Who was Battle? What was Humberto Ramos?
I'm trying to think of what books he had. I know he did some work on like Spider-Man. Like he had some, but his independent stuff, I can't think of. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the old Google. But yeah, Joe, I've known Joe for a while, and he's dude, he grinds. He does have a lot of
Crimson. He did Crimson.
Crimson. That's
There
the
you
one.
go.
That's the one.
That's the one.
But yeah,
Thank you,
if
Google.
you guys want to check that out, if you guys want to check him out, definitely check him out on Instagram. Follow him, Joe Holley 1977, and then just go to his Facebook. But yeah, good interview. Good interview. I hope to see him soon. And his Pretty book is actually really, really good. It's a really good book.
Yeah, I got to check out his artwork.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And next week, Sam, we have, speaking of slasher films and all that other stuff, we probably could have saved it for next week, is our Halloween special.
Is it?
We have a Halloween special next week.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guest to be announced.
Guest to be announced.
Yes.
That guest to be announced. It'll probably be announced before this show comes out, but
yes,
as of right now, guest to be announced. It's gonna be I'm sure it's gonna be a good show. And Halloween is around the corner, dude. What are you doing anything? I know your neighbor across the street goes all out on Halloween.
Say that again. My neighbors. Yeah, it's crazy up in here, but I don't know now with social distancing. I don't know if that's gonna be because
that's right.
you know, I have a neighbor who has pretty big house. Pretty big house. And a really big house. And so he has like this estate. And he threw this party. There must have been at least 75 or 100 cars down the strip. And so the other neighbors were like, none of those people are wearing masks. And they called Popo and they're like, whoop, whoop. They showed up and they demanded, they said, look, you can have the party. Everyone needs to wear masks. And so, they had to put masks on and all that stuff. So I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I don't know what it's gonna look like for me either. To be honest with you, I gotta see what happens. But tune in next week to check out that show, and don't forget our Kickstarter is still going for a few more days.
Yes,
so
we need you.
We need you.
When I need you.
Oh, sing it to them. Sing it to them. Sing it to them.
I open my eyes and I see.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. Here's the money. Here's the money.
Come on, help it. Bring some love over our way. Yes, we need you to support the Crazies. We want to make this the next best thing. It's a fun comic book. And if you don't know, you should know because we've been talking about it. You have the extreme crazies, the psycho crazy himself. You got the crazy man.
My boy's ultra crazy. My boy. I'm telling you, that's my boy.
Yes.
So yeah,
we got a rivalry going on with podcasters. It's a crazy story, and we need your help to make it a reality. So support our Kickstarter. Get on there right now. The information's right here, so you can see. Blocking my face. There it is. Going on live. Support Sam the Crazy Man, Vera, and George the Dreamer Medina. Let's make it a reality. Word up.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Well, I think that's the show for today. Yes. We're going to catch you next week.
Yes. And remember, we have our Patreon going on. So support our Patreon. Yes. Become an official member of the Craze. A lot of goodies for those who are part of the membership that the average Joe who's not part of the membership won't get. So join our Patreon, which is right there, bam. And remember, it's patreon.com/CatchTheCraze. Let's do this, Brutus. Act like you do this. And I'm Sam the Crazy Man, Vera.
George the Dreamer Medina.
And we are going to go.
It's just easy. It does not.
Crazy.
Acquiesce. No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. I meant say my name, right? This is what you were thinking? Oh, my. He described me. He said, I'm the
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.